Alrighty, so I made my first video about, I don't know, like an hour ago, I guess. And since I'm a nocturnal and I can't sleep, I decided to make another one. Um, I mean, I've written poetry for years now, and this is going to be the second one I've put into a video, but this is definitely not the second one I've written. This one I wrote sometime last year, I think. A lot of my poetry is really sad because I use it to express what I'm feeling, and I've gone through a lot of really rough times. This one is called Phantom, and I think it's it's got a really weird twist on it, on like the perspective and why I wrote it and who I wrote it for. So I will explain all that after I read it. And again, I'm going to be looking down because it's on my phone, and I'll explain it whenever I get done reading it. But this is called Phantom. We stood there in the bitter rain. She did not move or blink. I'm not even sure she was breathing. It's as if life itself had left her body. I glanced up into the steeple of the church, and as the bells rang out, I saw the stone-cold wall drop down inside her eyes. And I knew that the girl who I'd once loved so dearly was gone. She looked at me, her muscles rigid, her mouth stern, and her gaze cold. I did not know how long she'd be gone, but I knew without a doubt I was never going to leave her. And I would fight to find her in the depths of her blacked-out soul every day, until I reached that sacred and scarred heart of hers and brought it back to life. She looked at the clock in the town square as if she was saving the time, place, and date in order to never forget that detrimental moment that would haunt us for the rest of our lives. I reached out to touch her, but drew back in sadness. I was afraid I might just pass through her, and without hesitation, she began to walk away. But I was frozen in place, knowing I should follow her, screaming inside at my body to regain its functions, but I stood there and watched her fade into the distance. So now I'm running, after a girl who's forgotten how to exist. But it's not hard to find the invisible if you know where to look, and I will find her. So that's one of my shorter ones. It's called Phantom. It has a lot of really deep meaning behind it. In the poem, it talks about two people. One person who's standing there and another girl that you're looking at. In a weird way, both of them are me. It's kind of like an outer body experience within the poem. That I know, like the girl who's shutting down and walking away and just becoming completely invisible and forgetting how to exist. That's me. That was me in one of my really sad, low times in life. And then the girl who sees the other one shutting down is also me because I realized what was happening. And I'm pretty sure I wrote this poem after I'd come out of that dark state that I was in. And I looked back on that time and I was like, wow, I don't want to lose that person. I don't want to drop down inside of myself and build up all these walls and fall into this hole and forget who I am. So I'm going to fight not to be that person. I'm going to fight not to find a way to run away from life. And in the poem, it says that she did not move or blink, and I wasn't even sure that she was breathing. That's because when depression hits you, when something so horrible happens, it feels like every part of you has just stopped working. You couldn't move, you didn't want to blink, you didn't want to take a deep breath, you're just frozen. And then later in the poem it says, without hesitation, she walked away. And that's the second step. It's like you're frozen in place in whatever's getting you down so far. And then you just leave. And it's not that you physically walk away from whatever it is. It's just that you, within yourself, walk away from everything going on. You walk away from the people you love and your friends and your activities of daily life. You just leave. And you become this totally different person that's almost non existent. And nobody knows who you are anymore. And it takes the right kind of person to come find you. And a lot of the times, they don't. You have to come back on your own. And that is one of the hardest things to do. And it's one of the hardest things for other people to accept. Um, I did not know how long she'd be gone, but I knew without a doubt I was never going to leave her. It was saying, like, I didn't know how long I would be in my depression. And that particular part of the poem was more of like, I'm not going to leave anybody who's in a depression. Like, if any of my best friends fell down into a black hole and they were just not themselves, I wouldn't just leave because I got sick of dealing with it, because I got sick of, them being upset all the time, or them, pushing me away out of their life, because unfortunately that's what people do. I wasn't going to leave them high and dry because I'm not going to be that person who walks out. Because I've been there. I know. A lot of people have walked out on me. But I don't want anybody to feel alone. I don't want to give them more reason to shut down. Um, she looked into the town square at the clock, and as if she was saving the time, day, and place. It's kind of like one of those old movie scenes where you're sitting in like a town square where all the roads are made out of like cobblestone, and you have these giant towers made out of old bricks with a clock and a bell tower and stuff like that. And it's like this, in my head, it was like this really dark, gloomy setting where it wasn't quite raining, but it was all cloudy and overcast and probably like later in the day. And it's just like these two people at a distance from each other, and the one girl's watching and the other one's just like falling apart, and you just see all of it happening, and you're like, I can't, I don't know what to do. All I can do is stand here because I can't get to her. She doesn't see me, she doesn't know that I'm here, she won't accept it if she did. But I'm here. And then when she walks away and you feel like you can't run after her because you have no idea where she's going. And it's as if she's like this ghost passing through walls and you cannot reach her. But the thing is, you can't stop trying. And I guess this is a message to those of you who are dealing with somebody who's in a depression or who seems like their whole life is falling apart. Don't give up on them. Because that's the last thing they need. They need somebody to support them. And even though they don't see you trying and they don't see you being there, don't stop trying. Don't give up on them. Don't quit, because they're going to come out of their funk and they're going to realize that you were there for them the whole time. But they need that, because if they don't have anybody, they won't come back, because they won't feel like they have a reason to. And it's really hard. I've been down that hole a few times because I've had a lot of heartbreaks and a lot of deaths of nearby family members happen. And it puts you there. And it's not really something you can avoid sometimes. You can't just say like, oh, okay, I'm done being sad, and get back up. Every now and then, yeah, it's that easy, but most of the time it's not. It takes its toll, and you need somebody there for you, even if you don't want to accept their love or accept that they're not going to give up on you. You still need that person. And at the end it says, now I'm running after a girl who forgot how to exist. And it's not hard to find the invisible if you know where to look, and I will find her. I've spent a lot of my life feeling like I was invisible to everybody. And even now, sometimes I'll go out. I'll go sit in Starbucks, drink my coffee, read a book, walk out, and walk around the mall, and I don't feel like anybody sees me. I don't feel like a single person glances my way. And a lot of times it's tough. It's tough to handle because you're like, do I even matter? Does anybody even care? But the thing is, you don't see everything you think you should. I feel like I'm invisible, but I also have realized that I don't see about 90% of the time that anybody sees me. So you might think that you're walking around and not a single person has glanced your way, but about 20 people have by the time that thought crosses your mind. You matter. People care about you, and if you are one of those people who end up watching this video and you're in a depression, it gets better. And I know that you feel like that girl who is completely lost and invisible and is ghosting through walls and that nobody cares about and that nothing's getting better and your whole world is falling apart. And that you can't come back from it. But you can. And I'm telling you because I did. I've lost both my parents and countless other people who are really, really close to me. And I went through this huge depression phase each time. I felt like I was in the middle of this giant sea and there was no way to breathe. That I was just drowning. And it was all cold and dark and my whole world fell apart and I didn't care about anything anymore. I didn't feel like anybody or anything mattered. That not even me or my life did. But you do. You do matter. It gets better and it's okay. It's okay to be sad and it's okay to be upset. But don't let it consume you. Because you're better than that and you mean more than that. And people do love you and people are there for you and you're not invisible. Because I see you and I can promise you several other people see you. So don't give up and hold on. Because there really is a light at the end of this tunnel. And I know you feel cracked and broken and destroyed right now, but I've come to realize that it's okay to be broken and it's okay to be cracked. Because every now and then, it's the cracks and the breaks that bring in light. And that's what helps you see. And then it's not so dark. And the pain starts to go away. So hold on. Keep going. It gets better. Thanks for listening to another poem, guys. For those of you who are depressed or dealing with a depressed loved one, my inbox or, you can always come ask me for advice or talk to me. I'm willing to help anybody. I hope you all are doing well in life, and if you've watched these videos, then thank you so much for listening to my rambling and my poetry. Have a great day or evening, depending on what time you're watching this. And stay tuned for the next poem. Bye.